Well, we've just reinstalled the chain. I did it by myself. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, but I managed to get it on there. I just used a hammer, and I should have had a big steel plate, but I used a couple of 2x4s, and there's a way to hammer it together. You bend it, and there's a little groove it slips through. It's made to go together, bent 90 degrees, and then never come apart. But it did break on us the last time we used it. The last 5 bales of hay. We're in the hay loft, so we don't have much hay. So we're getting 100 bales tonight. So I had to come up here and install that chain and tighten it. I got it pretty well, I think, where I want it. It's not too tight there. I welded. These are all original. This is what they should look like from the factory. These tack welds, these teeth stick up. That's what pushes the bale up. It pushes on this side here. So the motor's at the top on this one. I turn the chain around, and it's a lot easier to lower that light end with no motor on it than it is to lower this end with all this mechanism and the electric motor. It's just way easier to do it this way. And then the people up in the hayloft can turn on and off the elevator, whereas the people in the wagon have to jump off the wagon, run over to the wall, and unplug it. So it makes perfect sense to me that it should be up here. Some people look at it and think it's in the wrong place, but that's been fabricated. I made these teeth tines. I don't know what they're called, but there is a name for them. I looked up on the inner screen to replace this chain. It would have been like $1,200 or more. So there's a new one there. No, that's the original. This is a new one. I welded. A lot of them were missing one. Some spots were missing 2. That's another missing one there. I welded one on there. I made that out of unistrut. There's one there I made. I had to make sure they're exactly the same because they got to fit through this little groove right here. And if they're too big or too small, they'll hit. So I just ran it for a bit, and it seems to work pretty good. I'm happy with that repair. I got this thing moving. This side over here is very, very stiff. I was worried it's going to break, and that would mean I think it would mean taking this thing right over to the shop, because the welder's over there. I can't really weld in here with hay everywhere. That would be a bad idea. So anyway, I had the chain in the shop. I fixed the chain, brought it back out, reinstalled it, and then I just lubed it all up. There's another one I made. So I just used the angle grinder with those really thin cutting discs. I think they're 332s or something. And I just cut out these. There's 2 there. That's 2 that I put on there. Yeah, the things I do. Anyway, I think all in total I changed about 12 or 15, 12, 13. And I had to remove a link because one of the links broke. Usually what happens, a worn out elevator, you can tell this one's starting to get worn a little bit. It starts to wear on this bottom side right here because the weight of the bale makes that push down right here. Pushes down hard and it wears. Whereas in the middle of the chain over here, usually there's not much wear at all. You can see that's very thick. That'll get paper thin right there, where that tooth is especially. And then you pretty well have to buy a repair section of chain or something and change all these. You gotta hammer them all out and put new ones in. You gotta do something. I've seen chains where they're completely worn out. They're just paper thin. You can only put like 2 bales on the elevator at a time. If you put a 3rd or 4th one, it'll probably break. So that's when you gotta change your chain. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. If you have an elevator, if you do, hey, I bought this thing used like 20 years ago for $150. I think my father-in-law said I should have got it for $50. Anyway, I'm happy. It didn't come with a motor. I found a motor for it and I put it on. I was taking the motor off my table saw, I think. I can't remember. I was borrowing it from somebody I know, or I was using the table saw motor. I can't remember. What you need, I think what we have here is a 3450 RPM motor right there. What ideally, I'm going to look for one, a 1725. half the speed. You need a slower turning motor. This one turns too fast. That's the other problem with it. So I will look for a new motor. We got to do these things. Because then the bales come up slower and they have a chance to grip a little better. These things don't tear through the bale. What was happening is these would tear through the bale, cut a little trench through the bale, and then it wouldn't come up the elevator. It'd sit there and slide back down. And I always blamed it on the fact that it's too steep, but that's not really the case. The case is half the teeth are missing, and the other problem is the motor spinning too fast. So now that we've got the feet, and on top of that, the chain, I turned the chain around. So it was facing the wrong way. So the actual bales were pushing on this side, and you got this angle here. So it makes the chain tend to slide underneath the bale. Shouldn't do that anymore. It should grab pretty good there. We're going to test it tonight, see how it works. It could be a little longer too, this thing. It could be 4 or 5 feet longer. Would probably help. Because we're up high here. See, some barns aren't so high. This one's pretty high. We're about, I think we're about 9, 10, or 10 feet easily. It's hard to tell in a video, but the lower your barn is, the shorter your elevator can be because it's not so steep. So, and if the wagon gets parked a little too close to the barn, then your elevator definitely is going to be too steep. It's going to be coming up inside the barn, like up here, and it should be down flush with the floor over there. So, what I should do, I should measure, get some of that fluorescent paint or something. All you need is a board, a 2x4 or something, and you measure from the wall out to where the wagon should be, and you put a board there or something. So when the wagon gets pulled up, gets parked far enough out. If it's parked a little too close, you got to move it out, and it's very hard to anybody that's ever tried moving a wagon, it's not an easy thing to move. So another little boring video, but somebody might learn something from this. I didn't know anything about elevators before I had this, except for saved you a lot of work. Without an elevator, you can't get hay up here. Like, how do you get hay up here without an elevator? Carry it up the stairs? Use the backhoe maybe and lift it up with a bucket? I don't know. So, anyway, that's a little short video on that today. It was supposed to be a short, but it's too much information. So, thanks for watching.